hill climb and then went on through the night up the Great Glen through Fort William and alongside Loch Ness to Inverness for a breakfast halt. Then the return runs south through Abbeymoor and Perth over the Forth Road Bridge, arriving back at Glasgow for an overnight halt on Sunday. The second leg went south through Peebles and Dumfries and back again to Glasgow before the final leg, an anti-clockwise loop to the north of the city through Stirling and the Trossachs, finishing on Tuesday back in Glasgow from where it started 4 days earlier.
Very fast for a car. The convener is just about to drop the flag and the first car is away. Andy McCullough on the Scottish International.
Barring mechanical intervention, world champion Hannu Mikkola and his Audi Quattro seem virtually assured of yet another Scottish rally victory. So this year, excitement centres on the battle for second place, and it's expected to be a three-cornered fight.
It's going to be difficult to beat a four-wheel drive car in these conditions unless Hannu has problems, but I think really the battle's going to be between myself and Jimmy and Malcolm Wilson because he went so well on the Welsh rally.
4 years ago, Malcolm Wilson suffered a crippling accident here on the Scottish while challenging Mikkola for the lead. Since then, he struggled to re-establish himself as his career took a downturn. Now, back in a competitive car, he has that chance. Can he recapture his old form and challenge the Finnish maestro once again?
I don't know. Hannu's had a lot of experience, hasn't he? I would like to think so, but he's got to be the favourite without a shadow of a doubt.
But to be realistic, when you were both in escorts, the last time you were in an escort with him, you were fairly competitive with him.
Yeah, but I think the thing is he's been driving a Quattro for 4 years. I think this is my sort of third or fourth event in one. I think you've got to allow for something like that.
This year, McRae's principal problem is not Mikkola, but teammate Brooks, who's constantly been getting the better of their battle so far.
Obviously, I'm new to the Manta. It's my first year in it, and I'm still learning to drive it a little bit. And there's bound to be a little bit of a personal battle build-up between us being in the same team. Jimmy won that personal battle on the National Breakdown. Circuit of Ireland was evens when we both retired, and I won the Welsh. So Jimmy's on home territory now, and I'm sure he's out to avenge the Welsh one.
Fervent national support rides with Scotsman McRae, who's been second on this rally no less than 3 times, but has never won. Suffering from a respiratory infection, he's somewhat below par at present. Both are features which he shares with his car. To date, Per Eklund's 170 horsepower Toyota Corolla has dominated Group A for the second successive year. And despite a series of early punctures, 3 in the first 4 special stages, no one is expecting a serious upset here. Charging up the Rest and Be Thankful hill climb course, Brooks is immediately on the pace. And immediately on the pace in his class is Norwegian driver John Hogland in the diminutive Skoda. Irishman Bertie Fisher is destined for a disastrous rally in his Shell Gold car. The early tests in Argyll have already brought electrical trouble that's audible to the spectators, and he's destined to roll the car into a ditch on Special Stage 5. In these hot, dry conditions, co-driving a rally car like Mark Lovell's four-wheel drive Citroën Visa is a high adrenaline, sweat-provoking experience.
Flat to turn, square 90 right. 45 right. And turn immediately left. Slightly with us. It's an open left. 100 yards, open 90 right. Keep out. 100 yards, turn 90 right, square 90 right. Flat over brow to crossroads, turn left. Slightly with us. Up to hairpin left, turn hairpin left. Flat over brow to open hairpin right.
After a fine showing from both driver and car in Wales, the Visa Mille Piste is sadly due for an early retirement with differential failure on Saturday night. Inverness basks peacefully in the early Sunday morning light. During the night, Hannu Mikkola has established a 2-minute 16-second lead ahead of a hard-charging Russell Brooks. Battling hard in third place, half a minute down on Brooks, is Malcolm Wilson, who's actually been ahead of the Opel driver more than once already. And scattering the timber 10 seconds behind the Quattro in fourth place is Jimmy McRae. The two Opels and Wilson's Quattro separated by less than a minute. Over from Sweden and driving his Opel Ascona impressively is Mats Jonsson in fifth place. While the Group A battle is again being led by Eklund despite some minor chassis ailments. Deep in trouble with a very sick engine, but persevering splendidly in dire circumstances, is Ian Tilke with Alistair Roberts in the Silkaline Escort. Also in the timber business, like McRae, and fighting back strongly in Group A after losing several minutes driving blind in the dust of another competitor, is Tim Bryce, 3 minutes 16 seconds behind Eklund as the cars arrive in Inverness.
Every time we get in front of Russell, we seem to have a problem. I clipped, the second time we got in front of him, I clipped a rock on one of the stages, and of course I got a punch and we had to drive with it for 6 miles. It's a bit unfortunate, but well, we're enjoying it. We're back up to third again. We're in front of Jimmy, so...
In fact, I thought you were second, in fact.
We were for a while there, yeah. And then, as I say, we've been second twice and keep losing it, but there's still a long way to go, isn't it?
Special stage 23 at Rd.4 on the return run south, and the leader is comfortably fastest once again. But behind Mikkola, the battle for second place is now in full swing, with Brooks throwing everything into the fray in his attempts to stay ahead of third place man Malcolm Wilson, who is trying equally determinedly to demote him, and at the same time increase his lead over McRae, who is pressing hard in fourth place. With stiffer springs and a new steering rack fitted, Eklund's impressive Toyota is now handling more to the driver's liking. At Ladywell Forest, McRae has a problem to unravel. And with no service allowed at this point, Jimmy has to tackle the job himself. A coiled wire air trunking has split and wrapped itself around a brake caliper.
There was a log in the forest, the last forest, sticking out, and it went and punched itself through there, and it had wire on it, and it's wrapped around the brake caliper.
That's it.
Is it?
Got that back.
Jim, I'm going up to control. Bring the car up as soon as you can.
With precious seconds ticking away towards their arrival time at the next special stage, Mike Nicholson decides to check in on foot. They make it with seconds to spare. With the fourth bridge as a backdrop, the last stage of the day is Hopetown House. Despite his pursuer's best efforts, Mikkola's lead is as secure as ever.
What is your lead now, Hanno?
Something like 2.5 minutes.
So a comfortable lead?
Yeah, I can have a puncture and not lose the lead.
So what about the rest of the rally? Is it going to be as tough, do you think, or
we
is
have
the worst
still,
over?
We have still, 23 hours to drive, so it's not over yet at all.
Monday morning at Elibank, the second stage of the day, and the Quattro contingent has sadly been reduced to 1, as Malcolm Wilson has been forced out with suspension failure, which elevates timber merchant McRae's Opel to third. With a time-consuming puncture on this special stage, Eklund's Toyota drops 2 minutes, almost into the clutches of Tim Bryce, who's now driving splendidly in 5th place. But the most momentous drama is sadly reserved for Brooks, whose 1 minute advantage over McRae evaporates in Twigley's Forest. He arrives at the stage finish 14 minutes late, having obviously been off the road.
There was a fire break. You came over a crest, the road went left, there was a fire break right, and I opted, as we came over the crest, I tried to turn right, realised, swung it left, but the front wheel didn't grip, so we just hit the bank.
With Yorkshireman Phil Short deputising for his regular co-driver Arnie Hertz, Mikkola is doubtless well aware of this hazard in Dalbeattie Forest, which caught out Phil's driver last year. McRae also left the road at this point last year, so he makes no mistake, and timber notwithstanding is now in his customary second place on the Scottish, following Brooks' dramatic misfortune. Russell himself is still trying very hard, though, and obviously has no prior knowledge of this innocent-looking crest. He's third, 12.5 minutes behind the Scotsman as the cars return to Glasgow. Tuesday morning in the Trossachs, and rain has returned to Scotland as Mikkola reels off the last few slippery stages to continue Audi's total domination of forest rallying in Premier British Championships. McRae heads for his 4th second place on the Scottish, and Brooks finishes 3rd. Pierre Eklund has successfully staved off any threat from Tim Bryce and finishes 4th. But the Dartford man's handling of the Sunbeam, which finishes 5th, 2 minutes behind the Toyota, has been a highlight of the rally. Having recovered from an early 8-minute delay with a broken throttle linkage and several punctures, Scotsman Donald Heggie finishes 6th. Bothered only by an intermittent misfire, eventually traced to a broken turbocharger wastegate pipe, Mikola cruises home to his 5th Scottish Rally win. Before dashing off to the World Championship Rally of New Zealand, he's just got time to celebrate his crushing victory and co-driver Phil Short's birthday. Yes, Hannu Mikola dominating the championship there in the Quattro with 45 points, and it couldn't be closer, could it, between McRae and Brooks in the Opals, 32 points each. Our next rally coverage is on the 4th of August, when our report will be on the penultimate round of the Open Championship, the Ulster Rally.